I want you to picture a scene for me. It's August 1947. There's a man, all alone, in a locked room in Delhi. All he has in front of him are some population tables, a couple of really outdated maps, and a pencil. He has absolutely no idea that the line he's about to draw, well, it's going to uproot 20 million people and lead to the deaths of millions more. So, who was this guy? His name was Sir Cyril Radcliffe. He was a well-respected English lawyer who, believe it or not, had never even been to India. He knew pretty much nothing about its culture, its geography, or its people. And honestly, that's exactly why he was picked. The British government needed someone totally impartial, someone with no ties to either the Hindu-led Congress Party or the Muslim League, to draw the border between two brand new countries, India and Pakistan. The sheer scale of what he was being asked to do was, well, it's almost impossible to wrap your head around. This single line, drawn in just a few weeks, would trigger the largest refugee crisis in all of human history. It was a decision made in a frantic hurry with consequences that are still echoing today. So how on earth did it come to this? Well, on June 3, 1947, India's last viceroy, Lord Mountbatten, made the big announcement. Britain was leaving. His philosophy was pretty simple: divide and quit. And he set the date for independence for August 15th, which was just a handful of weeks away. The clock was ticking loud. Radcliffe finally got to India on July 8th and was handed this impossible deadline. He had just over 5 weeks to carve up a subcontinent he had never laid eyes on. He couldn't even visit the places he was supposed to be dividing. The maps were old and unreliable. The census data was way off. I mean, he was basically working completely in the dark. This put Radcliffe in some crazy situations. Let's take the city of Lahore. On the one hand, yeah, it had a small Muslim majority. But on the other hand, most of its businesses, its wealth, its cultural centers, they all belonged to Hindus and Sikhs. At first, Radcliffe was leaning toward giving it to India. But then he realized, without a major city like Lahore, the new country of Pakistan would be crippled right from the start. So in the end, Lahore went to Pakistan. The whole process got kind of absurd, really. It wasn't just land they were splitting up, it was everything. I'm talking office files, typewriters, books from libraries. There was even a shipment of 60 ducks ordered by the Bengal government that got stuck in this bureaucratic tug-of-war. Every single asset of the British Raj, right down to the soap cases, had to be divided between the two new countries. So Radcliffe finishes his report on August 13th. He hands it over to Mountbatten, and what does the viceroy do? He locks it in a safe. Yep. He was absolutely determined that nothing, and I mean nothing, was going to ruin the big independence parties on August 15th. His plan was to let everyone celebrate first and then deal with the chaos later. So for 2 full days after independence, millions of people had no idea what country they were living in. Can you imagine? Then, on August 17th, the borders were finally announced, and all hell broke loose. In the region of Punjab alone, 10 million people suddenly discovered they were on the wrong side of the line. And that's what sparked the largest mass migration in human history, as Hindus and Sikhs scrambled to go west and Muslims fled east. Now, the British knew this was going to be violent, so they created something called the Punjab Boundary Force, an army of 55,000 soldiers. But honestly, what could 55,000 men do against a tidal wave of millions of terrified, furious people? They were just completely swallowed up by the chaos. The streets turned into rivers of people, refugee caravans stretched for miles, and the countryside just descended into pure madness. The most horrifying symbol of this violence became what people called the ghost trains. Trains would pull into a station, eerily silent, and when someone got the courage to open the doors, they'd find them just filled with the bodies of slaughtered refugees. On the side of one of those trains, someone had scrawled in chalk, "This train is our independence gift to Nehru and Patel." And these ghost trains, they were going in both directions. While Punjab was burning, the British government had another massive nightmare on its hands: Calcutta. They were terrified of a bloodbath in the city's crowded slums, one that would make Punjab look tame. And the worst part? They had no troops left to send. They'd all been sent to Punjab. So in a moment of sheer desperation, Mountbatten turned to the one person he thought could maybe pull off a miracle: Mahatma Gandhi. He basically begged him, saying his moral authority could do what an army couldn't. He actually told him, "You will be my one-man boundary force." Gandhi agreed, but his conditions, wow, they were shocking.
He insisted that H.S. Suhrawardy, the politician that Hindus blame for starting the horrific Great Calcutta Killing a year before, had to join him. First, Suhrawardy had to get a promise from Muslims in another area to protect the Hindus there, and second, he had to move in with Gandhi into a rundown, abandoned house right in the middle of Calcutta's most violent slums. And get this, with zero security.
And the most incredible thing is, it worked. On August 15th, a genuine miracle happened. The same communities that had been tearing each other apart were suddenly out on the streets celebrating independence together. But that peace was so fragile. When the horror stories from the ghost trains in Punjab started to arrive, the violence flared up again. So what did Gandhi do? He began a fast unto death. And within 73 hours, the leaders of the city's gangs came to his bedside, literally laid down their weapons, and swore to stop the killing. The miracle held. But believe it or not, the partition wasn't the only fire they were trying to put out. At the exact same time, another huge challenge was underway: getting all the princely states to join the new country. If that failed, the map of India wouldn't look solid. It would look like a piece of Swiss cheese, just riddled with over 500 independent holes. You see, the British had given all 565 of these states, which were ruled by Maharajas and Nawabs, a choice. They could join India, join Pakistan, or just become their own independent country. The huge job of convincing them all to join India fell to two incredible men: the Iron Man of India, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and his brilliant right hand, VP Menon. And the stories from this process are just wild. It was this high-stakes drama of deal-making, begging, and sometimes just plain old intimidation. You had the young Maharaja of Jodhpur, who was secretly trying to make a deal with Pakistan, and when VP Menon cornered him, he actually pulled a pistol on him. One king in central India died from a heart attack the moment after he signed the papers. And then there's the Nawab of Junagadh, a man who was obsessed with his 2,000 dogs, who tried to join Pakistan before running off to Karachi with his favorite pets as the Indian army moved in. By August 15th, they'd pretty much collected all the apples in the basket, so to speak. Almost all the states were in. But the biggest, most complicated piece of the entire puzzle was still out there: Kashmir. And its story would become the most painful and lasting conflict to come out of the partition. Kashmir was basically the mirror image of Junagadh. It had a Hindu ruler, Maharaja Hari Singh, but the vast majority of its people were Muslim. Now the Maharaja, well, he was dreaming of his own independent nation, a sort of Switzerland of the East. So he refused to join either India or Pakistan. He was just trying to buy time. But that all came to a grinding halt in October of 1947. Pakistan was getting tired of waiting, so it backed an invasion of fierce Pathan tribesmen from its northwest frontier. These guys were promised all the loot they could cherry from Kashmir's rich markets, and they were sent in to force the Maharaja's hand. And what happened next was a frantic race against time. The invaders stormed through Kashmir. They captured the main power station, and the capital city, Srinagar, was plunged into total darkness. They were only 30 miles from the city and its vital airport. But then, their own greed became their downfall. They stopped in the town of Baramulla to loot and pillage. That one fatal delay gave the terrified Maharaja just enough time to sign the official document to join India, which in turn allowed India to airlift its first soldiers into Srinagar just in the nick of time to save the city. The war that followed this invasion finally came to a halt on January 1st, 1949, with a ceasefire brokered by the UN. A line was drawn right through Kashmir, wherever the armies happened to be standing. That line, which was first called the ceasefire line, is what we know today as the line of control, and it's still the de facto border dividing Kashmir. So when you really look back at 1947, it's not just one story, is it? It's two, happening at the exact same time. It's the heartbreaking tragedy of a partition that tore a land and its people apart. And yet, at the same time, it's the political miracle of piecing together hundreds of states to build a unified country out of all that chaos. So the real question for us today is, how does this dual legacy, this history of both division and unity, continue to shape India, Pakistan, and the entire subcontinent?